Okay, for our next project, we're going to be creating coil baskets. So if you see here, this is my basket. Okay. I'm not sure if you don't think you guys are gonna have enough coil to make a lid, but just to give you kind of an idea. Okay. But here's our basket. Okay. And how we make it is we make it out of this cord, coiling cord, okay, and yarn. So in your kit, you should have this cord. You should also have a tapestry needle, and you should have your tapestry needle. So you see how it has a really big eye opening to it. So we're going to need this, we're going to need this, and you're going to need yarn. So if you guys are at school, you will have a lot of different colors to choose from. If you're at home, you're going to need to buy your own yarn. This is a skein of yarn. It's not super huge. This is about 5 ounces of yarn. I would suggest if you're going to only buy one color, try and buy one that is multicolored, just because your basket will be more interesting. I mean, the yarn that I bought for this one was like a gradient, so you can kind of see that it transitions to like from light to dark. There's all different kinds of yarn out there. You don't want to get anything that's too bulky. You want it to be kind of a nice like medium weight like this, nothing too thin and nothing that's super thick. So this is a worsted yarn is a like a medium kind of weight. Brand names are like Red Heart, Karen, Bernat is another brand, but you want to have about this much. This will be more than enough for you to complete your basket. You don't want to get any of those ones that are super teeny tiny balls of yarn. I just don't think that it might not be enough. If you choose to do multiple colors, then if you get like 2 small balls of yarn, then that should be enough. So we're going to start. The first thing you need to do is you're going to need to take the end of your cord. Some of you guys have it cut into a taper already or at an angle, and if you don't, then you need to do that. So I'm going to take my end here and I'm going to just cut it on an angle. Okay, so you can see there I have it on this nice little tapered edge. Okay, and now I'll be ready to get started. So I'm going to start with this blue, and when you are getting your yarn ready, you don't want to have like 15 feet of yarn. You want to start with maybe an arm's length of it. So, you know, if I start from my arm here and then I pull it straight out and then to my other hand. So this is about, okay, so I have about like this much yarn. Okay, so it's like doubled over, it's like 4. It's like maybe 6 or 8 feet of yarn should be plenty. So to get started, we're going to get that tapered end here. I'm going to take the end of my yarn, okay, and I'm going to lay them right next to each other, okay? So the end of my yarn is matching the end of my cord, okay? I'm going to try and hold it tight. I'm going to go back about like 1.5 inches or 2 inches. And now I'm going to start wrapping tightly around my cord with my yarn to the end here. So as you see, we're going to wrap over. So I'm kind of like holding on to it right here so that I can start wrapping it. And that kind of holds the yarn down. And now I'm going to wrap. You can see my wraps are right up against each other. There's no white of my cord showing. And I'm trying to wrap that end in. When I get to about here, you see that's the taper of my cord. So I have about this much wrapped, nice and tight, and I have my taper of my cord here. I'm going to take this and I'm going to bend it. So now I have like a little eyelet there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to still wrapping over. I'm going to wrap now the end. I want to make sure there's no white. I'm going to wrap that end. So now I kind of like a little teardrop shape almost. Okay, and now I'm going to wrap 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. and I'm gonna wrap this, and it's gonna kind of look like an E shape. Okay, so there's my little E shape. If you look here, it's a nice little E shape. Okay, so now I'm gonna kind of hold that tight, and I'm gonna put my end of my yarn through my tapestry needle. So the way you can do that, you can try and fit it in here like this, but one way I like to do it is I kind of take my needle, I put it on my yarn, and I fold it over, so now, and pinch it tight. So you can kind of see I have like this little crease of yarn, and then I can just shove that right through the hole, and it really just gets in there really easily. So now I have my tapestry needle on my end. Okay, you really only need like a tail that much through the needle. It's just to kind of keep the needle on there. So I'm going to go back to my cord and have my E shape here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle and poke it through 2 times. 1, keeping it very tight. I'm pulling very tight, and I'm putting my yarn right next to where I just was, going through the same spot. So now these 2 pieces of yarn, these 2 tacks are going to be right next to each other. So what that did is it pulled my cord tight and locked it in. Okay, and now I'm going to go back and do my 10. So the way to make sure that nothing gets all tangled up, I like to hold my cord with the end kind of sticking out in my hand. So I'm a righty, so I'm going to hold this in my left hand, and my end that I'm working on is kind of sticking out, and I'm going to be wrapping with my right hand. So I'm going to now wrap, and I want to get that first wrap really tight right into that crease so I don't have any white space. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to bend it. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to grab my needle, and I'm going to go, this is the cord I'm working on. This is the one right before. And I'm going to wrap those 2 together. 1 with 2 wraps. 1 and now 2. Pulling it nice and tight. The tighter you make it, the more sturdy your basket will be. Okay, now I'm going to go do 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to wrap. Okay, this is going to be the last one where I'm going to pull it through that center, because now my basket's getting bigger. My cord where I'm going to attach to is now going to be out a little bit. So I'm going to go 10. I'm going to wrap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now watch. As I'm wrapping, I'm not going to go through this hole in the middle anymore. Now this is my cord that's right before. I'm going to attach this to here. So I'm going to go right in that little crease right there. So you see I'm not going through the middle anymore. I'm going through and attaching these 2 coils together. 1, 2. So you're attaching to the coil right before. Now, I'm starting to run out of my yarn. So what I'm going to do is I need to get more. So I'm going to wrap. 4, 5. Okay, I'm going to wrap. And now this tail, I'm going to kind of lay it right on my cord. And I'm going to get another piece of yarn. Okay. Now, you can just keep doing the same color throughout. You can switch colors at this point. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to make this end a little bit easier. Okay. To start wrapping new yarn, we're going to have a little bit of a tail. This is the tail of the yarn I was just working on. This is my new yarn end. Okay. I'm going to take those 2 ends, and I'm going to lay them together on my cord. So you see how this is my old one, this is my new one. I'm going to lay them together on my cord, and I'm going to hold it, and now I'm going to start wrapping with my new, and I'm going to close those 2 pieces up. So now my new piece and my old piece, the little tails are in here, are in the cord. And now I did enough here. I'm going to bend, and now I'm going to attach to my next, I'm going to attach with my next piece. So I'm going to make my little, put it in the needle. Okay. There we go. I'm going to pull tight. And so again, I'm not going through the middle anymore. I'm not going through the middle anymore. I'm going and attaching this cord to this cord. So I'm going to pull right underneath that, which is there. I'm going to pull through. 1, 2. 1, 2. And now I'm going to wrap. And so when I like to wrap is I like to kind of grab my yarn really, really close. And I'm holding it. And again, I'm holding it in my left hand. It's sticking out. And I'm going to pull this really, really tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You want to make sure that all of your wraps are really, really tight. You don't want any of the white of the cord sticking through your, like, you don't want any of that white of the cord showing, because then your basket's going to look messy. And you need to make sure that these wraps are really, really, really tight so that your basket is nice and sturdy. So 1, 2. So again, you can see that as my basket starts going out, as the basket starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger, my cord, where I'm attaching them, I'm attaching right to the one before. So this was the middle where we started from, but now you see how I'm attaching here to here. Okay, again, a 10, 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now you see all my yarn, that my yarn ends are nice and hidden. And I'm going to attach right there. Pull it through nice and tight. Ooh, and make sure you're paying attention, because like I just got a little bit of a knot, so I want to make sure it's not getting all knotted up. Pull it nice and tight. And 2. The tighter you make all of your wraps, the more sturdy your basket is going to be. Okay? So I'm going to come back when I have my bottom. So right now my coils are going right next to each other, so they should be nice and flat. So you can see it's nice and flat. Okay? I'm going to make a couple more coils, and then we'll start talking about how we're going to go upward. Okay, so I did a couple more rows, and so now I have my base done, but now I want to start going up and start building my pot, my walls going up. The way that we do that is, as we were doing our coils this way, we started putting them directly next to make this nice flat area. Now we're going to start to build up. So I'm going to change color just so that you guys can see it more easily. So I'm going to take my new color and my old color, put them right next to each other, and now I'm going to wrap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Really want to make sure that those pieces are right nice and tight. And now, like I said, we're going to start to go up. And the way that we go up is when we're tacking our pieces, we're going to start to move this cord on top of our other cord. So you see that? I'm not going to put it here. This is directly next to it. Now I'm going to start to push it up here. So when I'm starting to when I go to tack them together, I'm still going to go with the cord right before. So I'm going to go tack this to down here. It's going through 1, nice and tight, 2, 1 and 2. But you can see that that piece now is not right next to it. It's starting to go on top. So I'm going to do 10 again. So I'm going to hold these together. 10, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and again, putting it on top, and I'm going to go through 1, 2. You really want to do the 10 and 2 because, again, it's going to give you a nice solid piece. Make sure it's nice and tight. So I'm going to go 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And again, tack. 1. Ooh, getting caught up in my cords. 1 and 2. Okay. So you can see this orange piece is on top of my base, and I'm starting to build up. Okay. If I want my piece to come out more, when I'm putting my pieces, when I'm putting my my cord on top, I might have it out to the side a little bit. If I wanted to come and scooch in, then I'm going to push it more to the inside. So it really depends on how you tack it. So right now I have a nice kind of wall that is going to kind of start coming out like this on my piece a little bit. Okay. When you're tacking, make sure you're doing the 10 and 2, but you can get a little fancy with your tacks. So like you see here, this one I broke and made sure that my pieces were going right on top of each other. And then when I went and I did my tacking, I went through the middle of the two pieces to make it this like braid effect. Here you could do something kind of like a brickwork. So every row you're going in between the stitches before it. There's another way that you can do it where you are almost making like a ladder, and every time you tack to the left, tack to the left, tack to the left, and then it'll be like a spiral. Okay. I'll try and put up pictures on Canvas for you guys so that you understand how that works. And then I'll post a separate video on how to end your basket once you're finished. Okay, but you're going to keep on doing this. You need to use the entire length of the cord that I gave you to make your basket. So the whole cord needs to be done. It needs to be used to make your basket. Okay.